No one needs one.
Hey, y'all.
So get ready to come on in.
I got it.
Okay.
Tamara would be happy to know that she made it. And Jessica too. Jessica's with Atlanta Redemption Inc.
Okay, let's bring the audience in. You're going on a drop right here.
Okay. Hey, y'all. She said that the GPS is saying she's gonna get here at 11:33.
Ooh.
Should she still come?
I mean, we can always
No.
start and then have her as the wrap us up for the last 30 minutes as our
It's
guest.
going to distract the rhythm.
Let's see if we're gonna break. Okay.
You ready? Let's go in and go live. All eyes on the camera. Bring the audience in. Bring some energy in, okay? I'm gonna point to you, okay? Heidi, take it out. I'm gonna point to you at the end when it's time to go to break. Take it out when it's time to go to break.
Okay.
Bring it in. Take it out.
Okay.
Okay?
But we're only bringing it in for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Introduction. She's going to
How
take
do
it
you
out.
take
You
it
go
out
ahead and
again?
just do your intro and so on and so forth, and then let Heidi take it out. We'll be right back. You're listening to Pass on foxtratradio.com.
Okay.
Okay, listen to her rhythm and jump in on it. Going in 5, 4, 3.
Good morning, sunshine. I'm your host, Casey McClure, and I'm with my co-hosts, Sayuri and Heidi.
Hey.
And you're listening to Pass on Foxtrot Radio. That's People Against Sex Trafficking. Once again, we're back for an open discussion. Each week, we're going to be joining with Sayuri and Heidi, and sometimes we have special guests that will come in and speak on a certain topic. And today, we're going to be talking about should sex work be decriminalized? So today, we want you to come on a journey with us, once again, about sex trafficking and how you can make a difference in your community. And our goal is, of course, to engage you, educate you, but most of all, inspire you to do something. This is an open discussion. We're not going to be one-sided. We're going to be listening to both sides today.
Yeah.
Where sex workers that choose to be in the life and from victims that have been victimized by the life. We are going to have a special guest today that's going to call in. Her name is Keisha Head. And she is an Atlanta native survivor of domestic child sex trafficking. And she has spent the last 10 years working in the trenches and advocating in the public sector. So we'll have her on shortly. And once again, we just thank you for being able to tune in today. And
You know what I think is cool about this, and we were saying this before we started, is the three of us have worked together for a long time.
Yeah.
And we all have our different niches, and, we don't always agree, but we all have the same end goal, and we see things in different ways because we're affected by the life in different ways.
Right.
And we have never had this conversation ourselves.
never.
I mean, it's lightly kind of got brought up, but like this is going to be the first time that the three of us have discussed this issue in depth and our opinions on it and different studies about it.
Yeah. I'm excited.
And I know with Sayuri, I know
Yeah.
like us being from the industry, like back then when we were in the sex work, right? It was a job to us, but now as we've been out of it.
Literally, like I have been working with Force Sarah for 2 years before I realized that a stripper was a sex worker. I did not get it. I wasn't having sex. I wasn't selling it, so that's not me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get it. I didn't put it together. But then when I started to talk to the other women who talked about basically letting that be their launch pad, like they would come to work, and see that's the thing for me. Like stripping was legal. Like for me, prostitution is illegal. That's not what, I mean, like, we got a license to do it. Like,
Did you know that escorts can get a license?
Yes, I did. I did know that.
Yes.
I did know that. I
Yes.
actually noticed that when I went to go get my license last time. I was like,
Right. When you get your adult license to be a stripper, they actually have an escort license.
Yeah.
Now, that's not like get down at Sheets license. That's like, hey, go be arm candy and this sugar daddy type of stuff.
well, people call prostitutes call themselves escorts.
Of course they do. But I mean, the legal, what you're getting the permit for. I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but I want to really, really, before we dive into the subject, I want to clear some things up.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to read this. It is important to note that sex work, when we're talking about this today, is not sexual assault and it's not sex trafficking. Okay, like these are different things. When we're referring to sex work, we need to understand that it is a different category when we're talking about sex trafficking or sexual assault.
That's good.
Okay, so everybody is very clear when we're having this conversation. I don't want somebody to hear and be like, oh, so you're saying sex trafficking should be this or that? No, these are two different topics. So before we go into it, people need to understand that. And do they intertwine? Absolutely. And we'll kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
And we can do that after we return from the break, and we'll bring in Miss Keisha Head to have it included in this discussion today.
All right. Yeah, that's
I was
a
trying
good
to tell
point.
you. Close us out.
Heidi, you missed the whole
I
thing.
did.
As soon as you was wrapping up right there, what you were doing, listen to me, listen to what I'm saying, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
What you were doing was getting the audience pre-prepared for a great topic.
And
then you send it out. Okay,
lead
so
it into
we're gonna talk about that when we get back. And you were right on it, and then you let me drop.
I did. I dropped it. I'm
You
sorry.
dropped me.
I
You
dropped
was
you.
right on it.
I don't understand the sign language yet. You gotta really I
This
get
thing's
focused.
folded up. But no,
Yeah.
you were doing such a good job. I said, oh, she's about to land this thing and she's gonna dive in it. You dropped me off the cliff.
I'm sorry.
But listen, when you this is for everybody. If you're already coming in after an intro, you're getting ready to talk about a topic, and you know you're gonna not go into that topic right then and there, just let your audience know we're gonna talk about this when we get back.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So she came.
I'm like,
with a
breaks.
strong
Let's
thing.
just skip. Let's skip breaks. Let's just keep it rolling.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, just we could talk all day, and
We really could.
I missed the break part. You know, all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Like,
she's trying to
we
get
don't
my
need a break.
attention. Hold on. Let's keep it.
Why we taking a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a break. Okay,
Yeah.
so listen, remember 1 to 3 minutes for your intro, okay? Don't go into the topic, let them know about the topic, then come back and then we'll talk about it, okay? Because if you start talking and so on and so forth, you're missing it.
Is she called in? Is she called
Yeah.
in?
Yeah, I just gave her the number. So when we come back, I'm gonna talk about. I think to just get, like, to set the tone for what you just said. I'm gonna talk about how I started, like how I got into it, and then you know what I'm saying. Just because it's like this is where we're talking about people making a decision to do a
personal
job,
decision,
and then you know, is it a crime?
Right.
At that point to decide
Okay.
to go into that.
Okay, now listen, you guys, when you're having a guest and it's a call-in guest, we call your guest for you.
Okay.
Okay, because it's easier, because if you're right in the middle of something and then the guest calls and you already on a roll,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Then it's like we have to stop what you guys said to accommodate the guest. So what happens is we get you on a roll, let you flow, and then we contact your guest, and then your guest is already waiting for you when you go live.
Okay.
That makes sense?
That makes
Instead
sense.
of for them calling you while you're talking.
So do you want me to tell her?
We'll call her. We'll call her.
Okay, let me give you a number.
So we're gonna go with Heidi was saying, and
Okay.
then when it's time to go with what she was saying, we'll take a break, and you'll say when we get back, we're gonna have such and such on the line. That's an indication for the viewers to know that she's gonna be there, and that's an indication for your engineer to know get on the line.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
You got that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so let me see. Okay. Okay. I just told her that you will call her.
Okay, Heidi, that's some little gospel rap for you.
I like this one.
This is her number.
You want to write it down for her?
I got it.
I got a piece.
Oh,
you got a piece of
I
paper?
would have wrote. Okay, I'll write it for you.
Okay, so you're gonna have plenty of talk time, okay? And so then when it's time for a break, then you can be able to come back with her, okay?
Okay. I mean, she might be here by then.
Sure.
She's gonna be here at 11:33.
She's here at 11:33. Why don't we?
No, I think she's just gonna call. I think because that's what time she's coming. She's not gonna try. I think it's too late.
Now let me ask you a question. How important it is for her to be sitting there and people be able to see her? Because let me tell you what's going on. They're not gonna see her because she don't have a picture. So it's not like we could split the screen and show a picture of her and hear her talking. So now my question is, how important is it for her to be here to be seen while she's talking?
I think she needs to be here to be seen.
Yeah.
That's your call. Y'all let me know.
If she can be here in 15 minutes, she needs to be here.
Because we can just right after break, boom, here she is. Because we're also going live. So
We won't announce her until she in the building. Okay? So
I already said her name and she's gonna be on the phone.
Yeah. Well then if she's gonna be on the phone, then the bottom line is, listen, Siri, have her send a picture real quick.
I got a picture. I'm
Okay,
trying
just
to.
send it over to us.
Okay.
Then we can split the screen so while she's talking, people can see who she is.
Okay.
Okay? You guys, we got 1 minute and 30 seconds.
All right. Come on.
Okay, listen, do not, let me give you all a heads up because we're all going through training, so I'm not trying to throw everything at you. Remember when I was telling you, I said you having a guest, I said I won't put her into the system until we have it, right? Until she's here, she signs her consent form and I put her into the system. So don't announce a guest is coming unless your guest is in the building, okay?
Yep.
All right, just don't.
Because if they don't show,
If they don't show, then nobody knew that they wasn't supposed to be here, okay? You sent it over?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna take you guys right back into your conversation while I'm trying to figure out if you've already sent it over to us.
How do I do that?
Where did you send it?
Oh my God.
did you send it?
I sent it to Foxtrot Radio 1 at Gmail.
Okay, it hasn't come through. Okay, let's go ahead and go into your topics. Y'all ready? Okay. Let's go live. Going in 5, 4.
Welcome back to Pass People Against Sex Trafficking. And we left on a break a little bit ago about the topic of sex work and a definition of sex work.
Mm-hmm.
And Heidi, I know you were sharing a little bit about the sex work
I think
industry.
you should repeat that again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we start, just so everybody understands, when we're talking about sex work,
Yeah.
is different than a sexual assault and sex trafficking.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Okay.
they get confused, and that's not to say like the worlds might not all blend together, but while we're having this conversation of decriminalizing sex work, it is important for our listeners to understand that is different.
Mhm.
Sexual assault is a crime. It should always be punished.
Right.
Sexual trafficking, sex trafficking, that is
Especially of a minor.
especially of a minor, any age,
Mm-hmm.
that is a crime, and it should always be a crime. Sex work and what we're talking about is different. We are not saying that sexual assault and sex trafficking should ever be legal.
Right.
They should always remain illegal, and there should always be a consequence to it.
Right.
And so, right, today we're talking about decriminalization
Yeah.
of sex work
Yeah.
and what that looks like.
And so, yeah, so when I started dancing, I was 18.
Mhm.
And I had made a decision to do that. It wasn't, every time I talk about how I got into the life, people always ask, so how did you get in? Like, were you desperate? It wasn't a desperate situation. I graduated from high school. Everybody completely expected me to go to college. I got a music scholarship to go to boarding school in the 9th grade. Like, everybody just thought I was going to just be a college person because I was a good school person. But I'm also a very big money person. So
Right.
my whole thing is, if I'm so smart, why should I have to continue to go to school? I just went for 12. I just graduated out of the 12th grade. Okay.
And you love to dance too.
Listen,
Right.
dancing was my life. But like, if I can't use these 12 years of school y'all made me do, like, what was the point? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
why do I need to go to school again? Like, I hate school at this point. And I want to be free. I want to live my life. And so I started dancing. I was dancing. I wanted to be a backup dancer for MC Hammer, or I wanted to be on The Living Color. That was my dream.
There you
And
go.
so, and I was like, maybe I'll be discovered, or, whatever. So then when I went to the club and I saw I'm gonna make this story short. When I saw that you could just get paid to dance and you did not have to win a contest, you didn't have to win, I was like, my dream literally came true. Like, I was literally living my dream. I wanted to be a dancer who got paid to dance. That is what a stripper was, right? Sure. I didn't know you had to get naked before I got there. The nudity was like, huh? Why? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, it took me like 5 minutes to get past it. I was like, I can do that. And so I did it. And I was just like, I mean, we all naked. I mean, we all born naked. I mean, you know, but I'm not doing nothing
to an
bad.
18-year-old girl that did not have an educational background like you did, for an 18-year-old to go into this industry, it's not always good.
You know, it's not, it wasn't, but you know what? I had no expectations of the money. I just, first of all, DC, from Tag Team, Whoop, there it is. Like, he was my DJ. He was my DJ. I'm like, sir, I have so many dance routines, music already. I mean, like, I was living my dream. Like, it had nothing to do with money. Like, I wasn't trying to.
You were having fun.
I lived with my mom. I had zero bills. Like, I had my car, and I had just paid the insurance for 6 months. And I didn't have any need. I was just trying to be free, just trying to live.
But today, now things have changed, right?
Oh my!
Like, how many years? I've been out of the industry. 17 years. You've been out how long?
Yeah, I've been out since 2014. Okay. But you know what's crazy is that it was terrible when I was there. I just didn't know because I hadn't been there long enough. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
do you feel like you were naive at 18 years old, getting into the industry? You felt like you really didn't understand the industry?
I didn't understand anything about the club. And I mean, I literally had to I knew nothing before I got there. I learned everything after it was too late. I had already got my permit. I was already there. You know what I mean? Like, I was learning. My innocence was stripped after I got there.
With Heidi, I think, go ahead, how old were you when you first?
Oh gosh, I was actually a little older in life. Mm-hmm. You know, my story that brought me into this type of environment was very different than a lot of people. So, you know, I was divorced, and, you know, I was a single mom. I didn't get child support. Wow. You know, I didn't have any family. Mm-hmm. I just finished my associate's degree. I was chipping away at my bachelor's degree. I had 3 jobs, and then, like, the economy crashed. So I actually did some research, and apparently I was like one of those like late bloomers. Like, the economy crashed. Women are like, well, how are we going to feed our kids? You know, I'm working 3 jobs. I'm doing everything I can.
Still not enough.
So it still wasn't enough, you know. And then people in my life, including, you know, my ex-husband's like, oh, well, you can go to the club. You can be a bartender. You can be a waitress. You can be a shop girl or whatever.
You know what they say? The difference between a waitress and a dancer?
What?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Exactly. Yes. That is the truth.
That's the truth.
You know, so the first time that I ever walked into that type of environment, because for me, my whole life, you know, like, I was told that I was a failure. I was never going to be anything. You're only going to be a stripper, is what I was told.
Wow.
You know, so like, I had kind of pushed back against anything that I was told of my failures that I was going to be in life. And I was working really hard. So for me, when I first walked into that environment to keep a roof over my head, you know, I'd already mortgaged out my car a couple different times to keep my rent going.
Wow.
I walked in, and I went in there. I made so much stupid money.
Yes.
Yes. Stupid money.
My God.
Right.
But things have changed nowadays, because
it ain't no more money left, y'all.
We're
not talking about 2021. No more money left.
Let me tell you what. I mean, I was taking pictures to my boyfriend, and I was like, I mean, I had bands on bands on bands on bands. I was like, oh my God, my family.
Wait, excuse me. What year was that?
She's not gonna say.
I'm not
I just want to, because it's 2021, right? And I don't want, this is not an infomercial of why you should start stripping.
But it's not like that anymore.
It's not.
Because it's so easily available.
It's gone. It's died. It's over.
Right. So here's the thing, though. So when I went in there, and then I was like, obviously I felt blessed. But then I went home, and this is my personal story, because I was told that I was going to be nothing, because I was raised with shaming women constantly, just that shame and that guilt, and put it on women, and it's your fault you got raped, and it's your fault that this happened to you, and all this shaming, which makes me like the huge feminist that I am today, of breeding independence and fostering that. But, you know, when I got home for that first time, I cried. I cried. I had my head down, and I said, but God, like, I'm a failure. I am everything that everybody said I would. You are nothing but a dirty XYZ. You are a failure. You're this, you're that. And I'm like,
but the devil is a liar.
Right. I was like, I have dreams. I have ambitions. Like, I want to help people. I'm in school for criminal justice because I want to take down pedophiles. Like, I want to work with foster kids. Like, I just want to help people. Like, the broken children that I was, that said, you're no good, you're worth this, you're this or that. Like, come join me on my island of misfit toys. Like, I want to help you. Like, but God, I had dreams. Why am I here? And God looked at me that day and he said, oh, sweetie, you are right where you are supposed to be.
Right.
Because the people that you want to help, the things that you are looking to seek, you don't have to pick one of them. You don't have to go work for this person or that person or that person. They are in this building. Yeah, you are together. Yeah. And, you know, I have been there ever since. You know, like I'm still a house mom at a club. The girls, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I hang out.
And they trust you because you walk.
But I tell people all the time, I'm like,
with them.
I spend all my time with prostitutes, strippers, and drug addicts. So hanging out with normal people is kind of weird to me. But like, they are some of the most amazing young women.
They are.
And God just said, like, this is the environment that you are supposed to be in, because all the things that you're looking for, and not everybody's broken, please. Like, some people,
there are girls that actually went to college and all save their money, but what we're going to talk about today is why should it be decriminalized?
Right.
And both sides, like from the trafficking movement to the sex worker movement. But you know what? How do we come together and find that happy medium where we can actually understand each other and understand that not everybody is a victim and don't see themselves as victims,
right? And
but you still are victimized by the industry.
And here's a weird thing, and I'm going to throw this out there because I know we're about to go to break soon. So stripping is already legal. So why are we talking about that? Yeah, that's sex work. You can be a cam girl, you can be a call girl, basically. I mean, you can be on OnlyFans. There are tons of different sex work that are legal. You can be on porn. Everybody's got your hand in your pocket for your body. But you can do anything you want, but prostitution, like sex work is legal, people. Let's just talk about it. Sex work is legal, and everybody has their hand in some type of pocket of the sex worker, but prostitution. We're talking about prostitution.
Well, you know, that's kind of why, you know, for me, I feel like that's why sex trafficking is so demonized. So that it kind of casts light on the prostitution, because I was listening to somebody talk about a pimp who was talking about women going into prostitution regardless if they had a pimp or not. So it's not trafficking.
A renegade.
But when I first started for Sarah, I remember when I had a passion, when God called me out of that lifestyle, I wanted to help strippers and prostitutes. And nobody wanted to help us until I used the word sex trafficking victim.
My God.
Right.
That's when people got involved.
They don't want to help.
But the truth is, it's all connected together. And it talked about in Corinthians, where there used to be sex slaves that were invited to parties, and they were called out to entertain men back in Jesus' days. So today we're talking about where we are today in 2021. What is that going to look like for your daughter, for your son, when they get older and they decide, Mom, I want to go into sex work. Is this the right path for me? Because one day it might be legalized.
I think that when they figure out how to tax you, when they figure out how to dig in your pockets, then they can figure out and the government can figure out how to tax you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what happened in the clubs.
Right.
It literally what happened in the clubs was that back in the day,
every other sex work.
Back in the day, we was able to get paid. We paid our money up front, and then we made our money, and we kept our money, right? That was that was one format. Or then you make your money, you dance, and then you pay nothing when you come in, and then they count your dances, and then they want to get a percentage, right? That's how they make it.
Well, do you think that clubs are pimps?
That's why I'm trying to get to that, because what they've done now is that now the strippers, okay, they can't even touch their money. They throw it on the floor, and somebody comes and breaks it up, put it in a bag, and then they get their money at the end of the night. And then that money then you have to pay off of what they count, because they're trying to make sure that you are paying an appropriate percentage of what you're making, as opposed to me paying $60 and making $6,000, and they looking like with their mouth watering dog.
They need a couple more thousand.
I left too much money on the table. She didn't pay enough to get this money, and they're trying to figure out. It seems like men are trying to continually put themselves in a position where they can capitalize off of women selling their bodies.
That's so true.
This is why we're having this discussion, because
it's our.
That's the point. That's the point.
Already legal except for prostitution, but they have a way to get their hands in everybody's pocket.
So sex work is legal in certain parts of Nevada, and then it's legalized in Germany, New Zealand, and Netherlands. So they have a certain model that they follow to provide health care and provide access to help. But how do we fine tune? If we, let's say it happened in the U.S., I personally would not, I do not agree with decriminalizing. However, I do believe that they should go after the buyers more. And I do see that more happening now. So how is there a happy medium for sex workers?
I don't understand it, Casey. Like, how can you criminalize it and then go after my market? If I'm a person that's selling my body and you want to make sure that all of my customers
But
go
if
to
you
jail,
decriminalize it, then the customer that rapes her will not be held liable.
Absolutely.
So you
Well,
got to
but
find a happy medium.
Sexual
what just
assault.
happened? Huh?
Sexual assault is
Mhm.
still illegal, and that's why
Yeah.
I said that in the
But if
Me-
you open the door for decriminalization, they're going to say,
but
and the
it's-
pimps are going to come forward and say, well, I want to profit off her. I need rights too.
right. I mean, they.
Oh, he don't have no
He
rights.
doesn't have
But
it. And
why-
Unless she give him the rights. I mean, it's like,
Right.
because these
But
women
this is
choose
what's gonna
pimps
happen.
anyway. They
Right.
choose pimps.
Right.
Like, pimps don't. All of the pimps are not kidnapping people. They're being chosen by
Sure.
the people who are choosing to be involved in this sex
Right.
work.
And I personally just, because we haven't had this
Right. And
conversation,
this is, I love my
I'm
ladies.
I'm 100% for decriminalization.
Okay.
That's my shirt today.
What does it say? Let's see.
Okay, so I was at an establishment where they labeled women as a menu item, and this was my protest towards that. So, and I firmly believe in it. Like, I have a difference. My morals.
My body, my business. That's what it
It
says.
says my body, my business with dollar signs. So, but like my personal morals, what I choose for my life is for me independently.
Yeah.
I believe and I am all for human rights, period. It doesn't matter what human right, a human right is a human right, LGBT rights, Black lives rights, like I am for all of it. So to me, it's like, that is your body. If that is the difference between you feeding your children, or maybe you just
And
want to.
that
maybe
is the truth.
And here's a bigger issue.
But-
when I was doing my research, because I wanted to also make sure that I wasn't whitewashing this subject.
Okay, come on with it. Come on.
I wanted to really.
This is why I love Heidi. Come on,
Okay.
Heidi.
I wanted to make sure, things that I'm exposed to in a primarily white adult business and being more around white sex workers and stuff like that, although I'm around all, that is, this is my world lens. So I have to check my world lens and I have to say, okay, so am I feeling this way? I mean, I'm all about feminism and I'm all about like your body, your choice, period. Government doesn't have a right in my body and my autonomy, period. But am I whitewashing this? And am I saying I'm for this, thinking it's going to help somebody and then it not? Because a lot of times the feedback that I've heard from people of color is like, well, they already said that all I was going to be was a prostitute. All I was going to be was a pimp. All I was going to be is slinging drugs. All I was going to be. So like, I needed to do some research. Like I wanted to hear what the community said. So, I have some things that I'm going to share about that. So Black women have always fought for bodily autonomy and the resistance against exploitation. Instead of punishing and shaming survival strategies, we should be investing and expecting choices. Sex work decriminalization is a racial justice issue.
Come on.
Okay, sex work decriminalization is a racial justice issues. And I'm going to talk about a couple of different things. I know we're going to go into a break soon, but here's the bottom line. Prostitutes in general, if you are white, I'm going home. I'm not catching a charge. Okay?
Or you get, or the police will give you for Sarah. They're going
Sure,
to
sure.
take
They're-
you
No,
to an
now we
organization.
had
they're going to call
sting
some resources.
operations, and they
They're gonna
do
call some
provide
resources,
resources,
and they're going to give you
victims.
a place. And see, I was a part of a thing where I had to look at this prostitution and racism
Hold that
intersectionality.
thought, Siri.
Yeah,
we're gonna come right
We're
back.
going to be
and
right
continue
back.
this
Listen to
conversation.
past, okay?
Yeah. That's such a
It's
good
good
point.
information.
That's a good point because the
Audio out,
resources.
visual out. Listen, you guys cannot be, you guys both got two strong personalities. You're drowning out,
Sorry.
Casey. You can't do that. You got to make sure that when she speaks, she be able to speak. Otherwise,
Okay.
you're just going to climb all over her.
Okay.
And then they're going to say, oh, she's the host, but she doesn't.
We're sorry,
hear anything.
Casey. I'm sorry.
Okay, Heidi, that call was for you. Sean from DC, this question is for you. And he wants you to go ahead. He didn't want to go live on air.
Oh, here we go with it. Oh, gosh.
Okay.
And then that will help.
That's amazing. I like these callers. I mean,
Yes.
they give some good.
That is literally what we need to talk about, because it's like, a guy, they're kind of like, so why can't I do it? That's basically the question. If she's
What
doing it,
was
why
his
can't I
name?
do it? Sean.
Sean
from DC.
Okay, Sean from DC.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we got some
And
DC.
Sean sounded very, like he was very proper.
Good. Well, DC, I like DC.
He sounded very proper.
Here, I'm gonna let you skim through that.
You okay over there? You
Oh,
want some
I'm
water?
good. I'm good.
You sure want some water?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Is this
I'm just
what
glad that you're
I'm trying to scroll.
Everybody in
It's
America
Keisha.
Well, no, she's gonna call her.
I've been sending out this link to this radio station to people back home.
Awesome. Where are you
Okay, so
from?
listen, you guys are
Nebraska?
getting ready. You're not gonna stay long on this one because you still got to answer the question. You still have to finish up that part you got, and you still have a guest you want to call.
Yeah, bring her on. Well, wait,
Um,
is she coming
What am
here?
I
She
saying?
gonna call in, right? She's calling in.
Yeah, she gonna call
we're
her.
gonna
Right?
call her. And she's not gonna have like a whole lot of time. Phone guests you don't never let phone guests to be on the long conversation because it gets boring to your viewers after a while. And so
But
basically,
any of that, if you want to
we
chime
want to
in
go
on
ahead
for them.
and go straight into it. Your picture did not come in for her,
That part right there.
Her picture, your picture didn't come in.
Oh man.
so there's nothing else we can do. We got to keep it going. You guys
Okay.
ready?
Ready?
Let's go back in. That's my mama taught me better than that.
Move that.
You ready?
We're gonna go back to the question. Answer that question.
Yeah. So you got to kind of like, when you bring it back in, kind of talk a little bit. So you guys, we're going to go with the question that we were, just to remind the people who was just turning in, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go in, going in live in 5, 4, wait for my cue.
Welcome back to PASS, People Against Sex Trafficking. And Heidi and Sayuri are joining me again today, and we're having a discussion about should sex work be decriminalized. And we actually got a call in during that time, and Sean, a caller, he wanted to know if Heidi, since she is a house mom, does that make her fall into the pimp, and how much is she making as a house mom? So I'll let Heidi answer that question.
Woo! I'm excited.
Come on, Heidi.
Sean is from DC, by the way.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for the
Yes, and you know what? That's a great question. I mean, in the anti-trafficking movement, there's a lot of people that like me, and there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that say my regular involvement in the industry means that I'm not with anti-trafficking, which is really hard for me to understand because I'm like, so I'm not for force, but I'm there in the trenches if
By
this
choice.
is by choice.
Yeah.
You know, like just being able to love and nurture people. Oh, you want to go to college? What are you going to college for? You need this resource. You need this grant.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there is somebody that's in trouble that I can spot because of my background, that I can give resources to, and I can just be there and help and encourage and love you, because guess what? Society doesn't love a stripper.
Right.
I mean, we sit there and we watch the rap videos and we see this or that, and they glorify like, oh,
You know
but
what?
it's a dirty word, right? When we do street stuff, right? And we're like, hey,
Yeah.
would you like to help sex trafficker survivors? They're like, yes. You say stripper, they're like, ew.
Right.
But
I'm gonna
there
tell you-
are victims that do get lured into
Sure.
the strip club.
Let me say
That
something right
do.
quick, because when I wrote scriptures for strippers, right, and who wants to hear that?
Right. I do.
I'm just saying, like, when I
Right.
wrote that book, like, I got so much backlash.
Sure.
Scriptures for strippers. That's sacrilegious. That's hypocrisy. That is all of these things. And I'm just like, you know what? You don't even know what it is. It's literally a guide to the Bible for
Sure.
a person who is in that industry.
Sure.
That is something that's going to keep you from getting your face snatched off. She's going to lean on God, and she's not going to look at you. She's going to focus on the fact that God, she is a child of God, and she should act accordingly.
Right.
And when you add God to something, everything will improve. I'm not here to tell her what she needs to stop doing.
Right.
And that's kind of what people want to hear. Well, what did you tell her to stop doing? Are you trying to pull her out? I'm not pulling nobody. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do.
God calls them out, right?
Exactly.
He just uses
It's all
us
about
as
God. But
vessels.
my
Yep.
point is, it's like, listen, all of these in transition, we are all survivors of the industry. So yes, there's going to be some overlapping, Sean. Okay. So yeah, she is going to be there, and she's going to be, it's a way for you to be in there, because they're there anyway, regardless if we want them to be there or not. But if you're there and you're on their side, you can actually help them leave. If that's what you really want to do, if you really want to help,
You know,
you kind of have to be there. It's overlap.
I will say something about Heidi as a house mom. We do the outreaches into the strip clubs. She works at a club that I worked at. And let me tell you about what God does. He opens doors for people and he puts people in certain places. There are house moms to this day that were my house moms when I danced, and they give us permission. They give us access
Exactly.
to go into the clubs.
And
that's what Heidi gives us. That's why her role, some people might say, oh, she's a house mom, but she's more than a house mom. That's just one job that she's doing. She's got many hats.
If you were against helping,
Right.
how would we get in?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, some people need the help and some people don't. And some people just need that love and encouragement. You know, when you walk in the door and I genuinely care about you as a person.
And you can tell the difference.
You know, because that makes a difference in a person's life. So my life is bigger than just sex trafficking. That is one of many things that I'm involved in.
Right.
But like, I am like the biggest humanitarian, like human life. You like, come join me on my island. I genuinely love people and I want to be there for people, period, bottom line. It doesn't matter if you're this or you're that. Maybe your life is great. Maybe
it doesn't matter if you're an ex-pimp. Like, you do have a place.
You know, and to answer his
table.
question, does that make you a pimp? Let me tell you what.
Tell them what.
I'm the fucking Joan of Arc of strip clubs. Okay? Real talk. Because if you know me, you know that I
There might be kids listening.
Okay.
We'll watch it. Okay.
No cuss words.
Okay. I am the Joan of Arc of strip clubs. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Period, bottom line. When it comes to it, like, they know that they have a protector. They have an ally. You think I can't spot a pimp? You think that I haven't also helped educate the adult world?
That right there.
Educate the adult world of what's going on.
There.
So many people that genuinely do love these girls have said, you know, when I met you, all of a sudden I was like, wow, I didn't know this was going on.
But you know,
you open your eyes. But let's go back to legalizing it, decriminalizing it. Like, what does that fall under? So you got decriminalization, which is no regulation. The strip clubs are regulated.
The strip clubs are regulated.
Online's not regulated, right?
But
Online,
it's legal.
It's legal.
But it's
no,
legal.
and not in the state of the United States, prostitution is not legal.
No,
if
but
they
porn
catch you in
is.
the act.
But porn is.
Porn
that's
have
on social media.
But porn is even facing situations where they are found child porn on certain porn sites, and they're fighting it.
Right.
But if you decriminalize, you have no regulations, and you remove the laws, and you treat it like any occupation, right? Where they'll get health care, they'll get access, there'll be employees.
I mean, people who work regular jobs barely got that, but okay.
But should you just legalize it, which means you still regulate it?
That's why people hate it so much, because they're like, look, I'm living my life right, and I can't get it, so I don't want to help anybody who is using their body. I don't want to help anybody. I don't want to do anything for somebody who is, you know, breaking up homes and doing all this stuff. It's such a moral issue on top of it.
But if you decriminalize it, and it does
it's a moral issue though.
If they're charged with prostitution and they have to go get a regular job, they're automatically labeled. So I do see where you got to find some kind of balance, and I believe that's where law enforcement has started making sure that they do sting operations and they give the victims, the girls, an opportunity to get help and to walk away from this life.
But sometimes we'll give you an opportunity only if you snitch.
That too.
And they're not ready to snitch on maybe the situation they're in.
It's a real process.
It takes years.
Right. It really does. And then you also have to look at sex trafficking victims.
And
okay.
that's what I was gonna
And then
say,
they're
like,
catching a prostitution charge, but the pimps walking the streets, the Johns walking the streets, and then
the husband gets a ticket.
Right. And
his wife doesn't know that he just got caught with a girl that was prostituted.
Right.
He got a ticket. And just has to pay a little bitty fine, and she does have the charges.
Marked.
Right.
She is marked. So I feel that needs to be reformed, but we still got to figure out how to protect our minors in a better way, but also protect the adult victims, because I think what's going to happen if you decriminalize it, the adult victims are going to get lost in the decriminalization, and they're not going to be identified as sex trafficking victims. They're going to be identified as just a prostitute that chose that life.
It's like I said, it's a moral issue. I mean, so many people are not willing to listen to people's story individually. They want to find out one story and stick to that and put it in a category. Oh, well, this is what happens to y'all. everybody is different. Everybody comes into this lifestyle different. And what I was gonna say earlier was like, you talking to strippers and stuff like that, like people are so open to helping this trafficking victim. If you're not a victim, then you don't need help. And so that's for me, that was what really grabbed me, because I'm like, I wasn't a victim. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a victim of anything other than my own decision to enter into this life. You can be a victim of your own decisions, right? Like you get with the wrong person, you decide at first you think that they're great, and then you make a decision to go with them, and then it turns out to be something else.
We're gonna hold that thought real quick. We actually got a call
we've got another call.
And Megan, she says, Joan of Arc, are you getting paid from the dancing? And can you be a house mom
some other way?
My house mom is terrible. Go ahead.
Okay, so I can only speak for my position. Every club is different.
It is.
Every club and how they get paid or whatever. From all of my years and being in it, it was always a $5 a head if the girl paid the club.
I didn't pay house moms at first.
Right.
I brought my own stuff. I don't need your stuff.
It's always been very optional. And
but you want to take care of your house moms because they look after you.
But some people don't.
I did.
I mean,
I did. I took care of my house mom.
If we're having
it's all different, like you said.
If we're having a real talk about totem pole here and who's making money, your house moms
don't make money.
They make the least amount of money in the tier,
and they have to put it with the most
of the system. They have the most work, the most responsibility. The dancers make money, the waitresses make money, the bartenders make money, your shop girls make money, your floormen make money, your DJs make money, your managers make money, the COs make money. The least people on the totem pole that make money on anybody is your house mom.
Yeah. And they're not in front of the customer. Like
everybody's in front of the customers, so they can grease the palms or whatever. And for me, I have never done this job for money. Gosh, if I want money, I'm getting out of this whole line of business, period.
Right.
Okay.
There's no money in nonprofit.
There's no money in nonprofit. There's no money in being a house mom.
Passion and love for what you do.
When somebody looks at me and they're like, "Oh, I had a bad day here," I was like, "No. My husband literally looks like, I can't even tell you at this point how many years that, I feel like I'm just breaking even in it."
But like she said, every club is different. And I do know that there are some house moms that try to pimp you. And I will tell you about that on the break. Yeah. All right.
When we come back, you're listening to Past on Foxtrot Radio.
Woo-hoo! But yeah, that's some.
We got to get back on topic. Is she going to be on the call?
You're getting ready to go into her call, but she has a few minutes. Okay, so you're literally going to have like 7 minutes, like 6 minutes with her. Be safe. Okay. We'll get on.
We just want to hear where she is.
Will they be able to hear her call on the voice, or is it on us?
You'll hear it.
Okay. Let me go back to Keisha's and.
Okay, so listen, you have an incomplete discussion. Keisha, this is Miss JJ with Foxtrot Radio on the show Pass. Okay, you're gonna have to turn your radio all the way down so you'll be able to hear them and they'll be able to hear you. Okay. Okay. I can hear you. Just hold just a moment there on the break, and I'll let you know when we go live. Okay. Okay. Thank you for holding. Okay. Listen. So you're in between the discussion that you didn't finish. So you tell them we're gonna finish that discussion later because you really literally only have 6 minutes left.
Okay.
Show.
What we talking about?
Okay.
I don't know.
So you guys were talking about different things about house wives.
Oh, the house moms.
That's what I was saying. We were trying to get back to the
it's a real short. Yeah.
Decriminalizing it.
So now you're going into your discussion right now with her. You finish out your discussion with that. So we'll talk about house moms on another show. That is.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't need to talk about it.
All right. So
right.
You may have more important issues, but if somebody's calling because they don't know,
you want them to engage.
Yeah. Just educate them. That's it. What they don't know.
I just meant a whole nother show dedicated.
Yeah.
There's no need for another show.
We might bring some house moms on here.
Really deep.
I got it. I'll bring my house mom. No, Rose is Terry. Rose is one of those.
I know.
Okay, Keisha, when they start talking with you, you'll know, okay? You guys make sure you speak up. Don't get drowned out, okay?
Okay.
Make sure you speak up, okay? Just hold just a moment, Keisha. We're getting ready to go live. Okay, Ziri, bring it back in. Do not get who knows this guest? You.
We
Yes?
all do. Mhm.
Y'all do?
Mhm.
I don't
Okay.
know her.
You bring it back in, you introduce her.
Okay.
Bring it back in, you introduce her. Don't get drowning, okay? Let's go live. Going live. We're going live in 5, 4.
Welcome back to Past People Against Sex Trafficking. I am your co-host, Sayuri Smith-Timmons, and we are talking about decriminalization of the sex industry. And we have a special guest, which I will allow
Yeah, so
Casey to
Miss
introduce.
Keisha Head is on
Yeah.
our phone. She's called in, and she is an Atlanta native survivor, again, of domestic minor sex trafficking. She has spent the last 10 years working in the trenches and advocating for the public sector. Welcome to the show, Keisha. We thank you for calling in.
Woo!
Thank you for having me. Great conversation, very important conversation.
Yes.
So we were just talking about sex workers and decriminalization of sex work, and we just want your feedback and your input on what your experience was and what knowledge you have to share with us, because we have an audience listening that doesn't really understand decriminalization, and they want to know like what's the good and the bad. And just please let us know how you feel about that.
I just want to make 3 clear points. What we have are terms, the sex trafficking term, sex work term, and prostitution. And oftentimes those terms become conflated, meaning people use the same term for all experiences. And I just want to clarify that they're all very different. And I'm glad Heidi brought up some very key points. I'm a Black woman, and my experience in trafficking looks totally different from the white experience.
Right.
Because generationally, we have trafficking to happen to Black people, and this is generational. So I'm the 4th generation into trafficking and exploitation. So we need to be very clear on that and not really put it on the back burner, because sex work is consensual. Is rights to your own body. It's right you making that decision to go into sex work. But that doesn't mean that if you go into sex work, you cannot become a victim of sex trafficking, because that does happen as well. But these terms are very important to separate and give identity in the right places. And for me, as a trafficking survivor, I have to be honest when it comes to decriminalization. I have to be honest that I feel that trafficking survivors are kind of pushed to the side. And if we decriminalize sex work, how can we begin to decriminalize sex work if we haven't even decriminalized sex trafficking?
Wow,
because victims of sex trafficking are criminalized to this day. Because we know prostitution was legal in this country at one point in the early 1900s, but due to prohibition, it became illegal. But trafficking has always been illegal. Like even slavery was legal. So we have these things that we know are morally wrong, and we have to somehow in society put things right. But we haven't even decriminalized sex trafficking, and victims of sex trafficking are to this day being charged for their victimization. So we need to start there first.
Okay.
And I have a
And
question.
the last point that I want to make, because I am for decriminalization, because I have had experience. I have 14 felonies.
Right.
And I'm currently on probation now for 20 years that I'm still serving that term. So I was criminalized for my victimization, even though I had no say-so into the matter, and I had no rights of my body, but I still have to pay the consequences for that.
Keisha,
So
what
this
happened
is a very
to
great conversation. I'm glad to be on board with it.
Keisha? Let me ask you a question. What happened to the buyers that you were charged, but they were not? Is that what happened with your situation?
And we also know that when you're being trafficked, there are other charges that are not specifically related, like they're not soliciting. Like I have forgeries where I was forced to go and put my name on documents and things like that version of a test. So,
Do you think if they decriminalize it, do you think it'll increase the sex tourism in the U.S.? Like, do you feel like it will increase it and force more people to go into it?
no, people are going into sex work and prostitution and being trafficked at alarming rates, no matter what. So we can't stop that, or because we haven't done the work to put those protections in place. Like, we have the safe harbor laws that protect minors. There's no protection what happens to adults. And also you have the health of sex workers and sex trafficking victims is not only dependent on state and federal law, but there's gender dynamics, societal norms, and inequality in the justice system. So whether states continue to criminalize prostitution or decide to legalize it, the current legal model that we have should be reformed to better address these issues. So we need a whole reformation of our legal model so that victims or, people who are having right to their own body are not criminalized for the choices. Because all of it is about ownership. Do we really own the bodies of people?
Right.
And also, we have to also understand that decriminalization does not legalize sex trafficking. So we have to be very clear with that. Sex trafficking is and will always be illegal.
Right.
But right now we're having, even in those with this legal model, we're having victims of trafficking being criminalized and charged.
I want to.
So that keeps them stuck in the light. There's no exit because it controls where they live, where they work, and how they navigate within society.
So you feel like they're invisible?
I have 14 felonies.
Right. And
thank God for the movement, because I have a platform, but so many others don't have that opportunity. So they're stuck in the life because they can't even get a job.
Right.
So that's how it affects the criminalization of it. It affects the individual's lives.
And
so it does need to be decriminalized. People should not be criminalized for participation, or they shouldn't be criminalized for victimization.
Keisha, I want to follow up with what you said with some numbers for the audience to understand what you were kind of saying. So in 2015, nearly 40% of adults arrested for prostitution were Black. Okay.
Yes.
This disparity is large for minors, where approximately 60% of youth under the age of 18 were arrested for prostitution were Black. 60% minors were arrested were Black, despite being categorized as sex victims.
And we got 2 minutes. Kish, you're gonna have to come back.
Yeah, we're gonna have you back.
You're gonna come in the studio. I know, girl, the weather, because I was late too.
Yeah.
But I love you so much, and I appreciate you for coming and being a part of it on
I was in that dentist chair trying to get up.
I know, but we have to make it. We have to bring you in here. You have to get up in here.
I do want to say one thing.
Right.
I understand the decriminalization. I understand that part, but I do want to remember one thing. There was a little girl that I saw that was in one of the New Zealand. It was a picture, and she had a number on her shoe, and that was the number that they identified her for the buyer to come and get her. So I know you were a victim of child sex trafficking, and I'm so sorry that happened to you. But I want to thank you for number one.
That will be illegal.
Yeah, it will be illegal, right?
That is trafficking.
But in New Zealand, they're allowed.
Totally different. We're putting everything in one pot.
We are.
With 3 different meals.
Yep.
And that's why I wanted to back you up, Keisha.
Yeah,
with
well, we
numbers.
have got to end the show today. But once again, Keisha, we love you, and we are so proud, and we're so
Absolutely.
You just keep leading this fight, and you keep speaking out on the reform and just getting that fix for all survivors and all future survivors. And Keisha, we want you back on this show. Definitely. And we're calling you back. But thank you again for tuning in to PASS. That's People Against Sex Trafficking. And we'll see you next Wednesday at 11. And
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.